welcome to the town hall meeting. We've got Jackie Hart, who's the NEIC, answer any questions. This is just to update you. The ordinance is in effect and the inspections will start middle of next month. So if you have any questions, anybody have any questions?
So I guess here's your time to, if something is not cleared of an inspection or anything like that, now is your time that you can maybe get some more clarification, since she is here to answer direct questions possible in a situation that may apply to you. So is there anyone that may have a specific question that she could help answer for your commercial property inspection or anything such as that?
What concerns?
My name is Joe Lopez. I'm here in representation of Faith United Methodist Church, formerly St. John's. If any of you don't know where that is, it is across the street from the old Northumberland County Jail on the corner. My question, well, I have several, but my first question is, why should the same regulations that govern the church's tax exemption status apply to the inspection status?
I mean, quite honestly, because the tax exemption status has nothing to do with the safety of the people in the building.
Now, I am not a lawyer. Now, I believe most of us here probably are not. I did take a few constitutional law courses in college.
Probably hit a meeting.
Doesn't qualify. But I am curious as to whether or not this inspection violates the constitutional guarantee of the separation of church and state. Any ideas on that from you folks? You see where I'm kind of questioning that there could be something there of question.
My understanding of the separation of church and state is that the state can't tell you how, when, and why. Okay? But I believe that the state is allowed, for safety reasons, to look at the building itself. We can't say to you, you have to worship this God or that God, or this is how you should do it. But I believe the state is allowed to ensure the safety of its citizens by and through the infrastructure.
My only question would that be is where do we start going lines?
I don't know how to answer for it, sir. That's a judge question. I never run for that.
So Superior Court.
Yeah. Superior Court, Supreme Court.
I believe that it does apply in some respects, and this is my personal opinion, that churches, nonprofits, and fire companies in this town should be exempt. They're not commercial in the same sense as those properties that you're trying to improve. They don't qualify under what you would term as commercial. In fact, really, the only reason that they exist is as a service to the community. And many of them operate on a constrained budget. Any profits that they get from fundraising mostly go right straight back into the community. And I fear that this process may eliminate some of those services. And, the structures that are in the downtown area are between 1 and 200 feet. And many of them are right in the floodplain area, which had withstood several major floods, which could cause structural issues. Not going to deny that. My concern is that if you have a major structure down here that is inspected and shows to have structural issues, such as were occurred with the courthouse, those entities are not going to be able to financially support the repairs that are required to make that building up to code. I think that you would simply lose it. It's my opinion that these inspections could simply backfire on you guys. We end up losing some long-time elements to this community. And quite frankly, you might very well just be creating a whole bunch of vacant lots in town. And that would really, just be a shame. I'd also like to impress upon you, and please don't think of this as in any way of a threatening remark. It isn't meant to be that way. I thought about this as a person that if I were in your shoes, what would I think about this? And losing one of the fire companies, or one of the nonprofits, or one of the churches in town, I would not want that to be on my resume of things I accomplished if I run for re-election. We consider the nonprofits, the churches, and the fire companies in this town, and make an exemption to those. That would be all I really need to discuss. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
How you doing, folks? My name's Larry Welford. I live down here, 9,000 Johnson Street, and I'm here this evening to ask a couple questions. You look like you're all ready to provide some answers. Hopefully no more questions. I'm here representing First Baptist Church, not officially. Gary Pope is our trustee down there at First Baptist. Gary, do you want to come up here, or are you content to sit right there? Either way.
Go ahead, I'm fine here.
Okay, well, I'll give you a chance.
Yell from here.
I'll give you a chance to correct me or whatever. One of our concerns is, I noticed in the daily item on the article, we gave 4 options on exemptions. I would have preferred that you approached us with that 4th option, so we would have an opportunity to sit down in the code office and discuss what was taking place. We have two buildings down here, right, Gary? We have the main sanctuary complex, and we pay the fee for that, and we're going to take care of that. But ours was on the warehouse. If you recall, Oaks's property, we purchased that, and we wanted additional parking. So we basically we had a demolition of most of the property, and got the permits and everything else, and we took that done. And I think if you drive past it, you'd have to say it's a big improvement from what it was before. We strictly want to use it for parking and nothing else. No intent to build anything. If we had to build something there, we had to go back to my old department, DEP up in Williamsport, and get permission because they did a remediation on that site, and there's still some issues there. Although there's nothing migrating off the property that would cause any of the water problems anywhere else. So we put in for an exemption on that building. The only thing that's in there is our lawn tractor, a pile of sand, and what else, Gary? Am I missing anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, we're going to welcome someone that did, as he said, code office can come down, take a look at it, and determine that. We would deny any exemption. It's not a place where we have youth activities or have special meetings. We could invite you all down and have council meeting there maybe, but unfortunately our neighbors seem to have taken possession of the property. They like parking their cars in there, even when they have church, and we politely ask them, give us consideration, please, okay? We did put a couple of lights out to show out, illuminate at least the parking area. Other than that, we have our security cameras and so forth that are in the facility. I'm disappointed that should have been a given, rather than say send any money, because it looks like you went to $200, okay, for both facilities regardless. And one of my questions was, of the $200 to send in, how much of this goes to the city, to our council, and how much of it goes to the inspection agency?
Forty goes to us and 160 goes to NEIC.
Okay, 160 and 40. I remember years ago when John Chip moved on the board, it was 25 and whatever. That didn't work something out with the inspection agency. I wish our code people were in a position over the years, or the council was in a decision over the years, to get our code people up to speed so that we can have done some of our own inspections. I realize we couldn't do all of them, but maybe structural, mechanical, wherever it would have been possible, I think that should be considered. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Well, I'm just gonna answer that, Larry, because when I was there, we looked into something like that, but anything dealing with labor industry and the electrical end of it, the mechanical end of it, something like that.
Right.
It was less expensive to have a third party do it than it was to permit. There's consistently ongoing training that has to be, and
Okay.
certifications.
The only other thing I would say is I'm on the planning commission and I know the city is trying to deal with blight properties. I think that's a great thing. I think we're headed in the right direction there. It takes a while to kind of deal with those issues. I don't know that passing another ordinance is the way to get things done. I think it was the old time. I would prefer to, right now, you got people paying their income tax. Things are not good out there. Heating bills are through the roof and everything else. And now they're hit with it's no wonder that people are going to react the way they are. They're not happy. I would prefer if you held that off, maybe did it the summer, when it could have been eased in a little bit better. But hey, no time is like the right time, unfortunately. I understand that. That's about all I have. I'm not going to waste your time, but it wasn't our intent to come and complain. But I focus back on that fourth option, which means the property owner would meet with the code department or council and explain the situation. I think we'd have been happy to sit down and do that, right, Gary?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm glad you said yes. We'd have been happy to sit down and do that, particularly for that building. I mean, someone could stand in the entrance and look in and say, hey. And again, you go past the property, take a look at it. You'll see the couple of weeds down, repair the fence. We've done a lot of things. You can get the kids to stop from throwing rocks over the fence and try and knock the windows out. That would be appreciated. And maybe talk to some of the neighbors, although the police department's done a great job of following up with some real calcium. We try to be a good neighbor, we really do. We try to be a good neighbor, but unfortunately, there's those people who always want to take ownership of what we have, okay? Gary, any other questions?
I just wondered if this was really a safety issue or just to raise money for the city.
Safety issue or?
Safety issue, we're not making any money.
How many lives do you think it'll save this year?
I didn't hear what he,
Right.
what did he say, Larry? I didn't-
You want to
I
know?
say, I just say, how many lives do you think it'll save in the first year? I wonder what it costs.
Well, it would save from another parking lot being put up.
Hopefully all of them, Gary. That's the purpose for this, to save lives. Yeah.
Well, was there a lot of incidents in commercial properties this year?
There has been issues with commercial properties, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there
But
has.
the only thing that I would say to that, the question was, is this a safety thing? Unfortunately, what happens, and we all know it, that there's a few recalcitrant people that do things and always have to make a mess of things every time, and I can take those properties right now, and they go attempt to comply, and forces the governmental agencies into passing rules and regulations, and now we all trip over them. And the good people, and I say, I use that loosely, people who want to comply, maybe that's a better way to put it. Now we're all simply complying, we all have to. I think it was ill advised at this particular time, we prefer to phase in a little bit later. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else with questions, comments, concerns?
Good evening, Council. Dave Lehman, here representing the Sunbury Hose Company. Our president, Norman Cope, is back there, but he chooses not to speak due to health issues. We had applied for an appeal, as you stated in the letter. We feel we got with some documents of inspections that we have from insurance companies, boiler inspection, or food inspections in the county, fire extinguisher, updates, hoods, all that stuff, that's normal. We feel we got a blank letter back from Mr. Barnhart saying that we were denied. So I'm asking, your name is?
Jackie.
Jackie. I'm just asking you, what do you need for us to be exempt from these inspections?
So I am the third-party agency who does the inspections. I do not make any decisions on what is exempt and what is not exempt. That is done through the city. But I did put a stack of documents on the podium there that list what we look for when we do an inspection.
Correct. Yes.
So we are looking for foundation, we're looking for roof, we're looking for common sense electrical maintenance such as labeled panel boxes, smoke detectors, and as you said, if you've got fire extinguishers, making sure that they're dated and inspected, as it seemed that you have done. But of course, exemptions do not fall under my jurisdiction, they are that of the cities.
So, council, can I ask the ones that have been exempted, may we see a list of who's been exempted and how they got their exemption?
Can I speak? Councilman Murder?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Want to write now, or can you want to come back?
Oh, we can wait, but we did get our name in the paper, but it did not show who was exempted, and we'd like to know why they were exempted. What do we need to do to get exempted? Okay, we're all about safety, just like the gentleman said. They were taxed yesterday, all volunteers, not one bill to the city council. Yes, you give us some money, but believe me, council, if this consolidation goes through, you're not gonna like what you're gonna hear. Okay? I'm just spitting that out there. The money's not there to consolidate. When have you bought, and I shouldn't bring this up, but when have you bought in the Sunbury Fire Department fire hose? Does anybody know? I was just told the city has not bought one piece of fire hose for quite a long time. You supply your police with lots of things.
Well, there was hose bought in the last 10 years. There was hose bought when I was director of public safety.
I'm glad
bought a couple years of it and we stored it down.
It is all going, they all need new. They've asked a few times and gotten denied.
When have you asked?
Yeah, once,
I'm not the person, I'm just bringing.
Oh, I'm just saying, because when you say that, like, you're bringing news to us and we're
I
aware
just
of.
said, this is what I'm making you aware of, that these are the things that I'm hearing, you know, because we get, you know, we get the engines are there, but if you don't hose, you can't put the
It
fire
was
out.
brought to our attention when, during the budget time, when that was done, and every entity and the volunteers asked if there was anything they wanted to see, if we would help fund at that time. Whether it's, I'm assuming it's still done at this time in September, October, so we start really getting into the heart of things in November with the budget.
I will make a point that you're brought aware of what they need for the city.
And I agree with you, that's stuff we should, but
Right.
we do not, I mean, we have to rely on Kendra Kimball
So the waste,
and
the
those
waste is not
chiefs.
just, okay,
I think what should be done is take inventory,
Right.
come back with this, because I don't think we ever.
I think the last one that I knew of,
Inventory's done all the time, we have to do, no, but what I meant was it wasn't presented to us as a need. That's up to the fire chief.
the last one that brought anything to my attention.
I agree with that.
But the,
We agree with the part. The fact that those things are fought for a number of years.
Well, I just said though, we weren't asked.
That's an issue for another day right now.
but anyway, we as a fire company, not me, this is before every meeting, have applied to appeal this. I thought we were coming before a board to appeal this, and then read the paper here. So I, as the church, would like to be able to meet in front of a board that says in my letter, to be a board appointed to see why we weren't exempted or what we were exempted on that. And if we can be exempted, I feel the city of Sunbury should absorb the $200. Okay, that's why I'm here, to see the city of Sunbury would absorb the $200 for the churches and for the fire companies. Because we are nonprofits, and what they put out yesterday, the city should not afford that. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Jackie, can I get a clarification? Were you saying that you recommended to cancel the exemptions? No? So the exemptions clearly come from council?
No, not from council, the board, which is Jeff, Derek, and John. So that's the board who determines the exemptions, not the council.
Okay, so they're the ones who need to talk to you.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
if you get with us after the meeting, we can set up a
I
time
will.
for you and the ends.
Okay.
Anyone else, question, comment, concern?
I just have a generalized comment. What are the steps or procedures if you would want
Could
to?
you stand up, please?
You know, what are the steps or procedures, because I have inquired about this one time before and was told that there was really no relevance for me to pursue it, to have a property change from commercial zone to private residential.
You wanna rezone your property.
Right.
That would be the code.
There is a process, ma'am. Okay? The value, the thing of it is, the value, and you gotta make this decision on your own. It's more valuable to you as a commercial property if you wanna sell it.
Well,
And if you don't, if you wanna go back, I think, Mike, am I correct here, that we can look at changing that from commercial back to residential, we have done others. We just did one.
First of all, I gotta ask you, are you just talking about your personal property, or are you talking about the area?
I'm talking about my personal property.
Yeah,
That
really?
it was property that I inherited in 2016, it won't ever be used for commercial again. You know, I inquired about it in 2016 and was sort of said, well, there's really no need. And I don't know if I wanna do it, I just wanna know if there's a separate
Yes,
procedure or
yes.
guidelines.
Yes, there
And
is.
where would that start if I would decide, I mean, my first step is going to try to go for the exemption.
Okay,
I mean, I
And
don't
your
want
second
to
step
care
would
who
come
it
in-
is, but,
then your second step would be come in the code office, talk to me, or
okay.
Jeff. From there, then, we would have to set up with you a plan of what you're planning on doing with the property. If you're gonna convert it back to, if you're gonna convert into a rental, residential rental, or?
No, we can talk offline then.
Right,
I'm sure when you find out what property I'm referring to,
okay,
you'll get a better grasp on it, but I
Okay.
am going to apply.
So-
I did send an exemption in once, apparently either the post office didn't deliver it or it got mismailed, but,
okay.
when someone called, they didn't seem to be aware of my exempt forms, I don't know what happened. I will note, whoever you have passing out those little letters and dropping them at businesses, someone dropped it in my mailbox, which is illegal federally to put unposted mail in the mailbox.
No, ma'am, we took them around, we taped them to doors.
No, it was in my mailbox.
I believe you, but I'm saying,
There's no tag marks or
when
anything
we took
on
them
it.
around, we taped them to doors, so that's how we deliver them. I didn't put them in any mailbox.
But there's no take,
I
I'll
believe
show
you.
you that. There was
believe
no take mark or anything, it wasn't taped anywhere, it was literally.
Yeah, but I didn't touch anybody's mailbox. I know you can't touch a mailbox.
So-
Don't touch it.
If anybody wants any, copies of,
Yeah, this is the commercial property inspection list. If anyone would like a copy of that, if you didn't receive it in a mailer, and you have any questions at all regarding these, because each of you has a different situation, so if anyone does have any questions regarding what's expected when your inspections are done, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer your questions.
And I just want to go in there, I don't have I understand what you guys are trying to do. And I really don't have any qualms for my building to come in to be inspected for structural integrity and stuff. But as far as the safety issues from public access, like exit signs and things like that, the public's never gonna be in there, you know? So, they actually may even be in there, it's something but, so I understand, what you wanna do, and like I said, I don't have any problems with structural, it's just the things like, prop exits and smoke detectors and handrails and, because it isn't, there is no public access to it. It hasn't been since 2016, so.
Yeah, just look up with me or Jim,
Yeah.
and we'll be able to sit down and see if we can.
I just like to get everything.
Jeff, I'm Jeff.
any other questions?
I have some. I have some. I want to find out with these buildings, let's just take variances because we know that's condemned, so we're going to go with that. What's going to happen when you go to variances and it's condemned and you send them notices or you send them fines and they don't really care? How long are you going to do? What are you going to do with those buildings? Are you going to knock them down? Are you going to require the landlord, the person that owns them, to knock them down? Or is it going to be like the sidewalks in the city of Sunbury, where I got a notice last year, 2 years ago, 2 years in June, you need to put new sidewalks in, you're going to be fined. I put new sidewalks in at my apartment building. I look across the street. Every day I walk across the street and I see those sidewalks that are not done. What are you doing about them? Is it going to be the same way as what you're doing with these buildings? Is it going to just be left go and you're going to be fined? I don't even know if those people are being fined. You know how many sidewalks there are in the city that are not being fixed? But I got a letter and I did it. So what's going to happen with these buildings? Doing the same thing? I realize I'm not worried about my building. My building's fine. I don't think I'll have a problem with it. You never know. But I'm just saying, some of these other buildings, yes, they're in bad shape. Dollar Store should have been done a long time ago. It's right, what you're doing. But what are you going to do? I don't understand what you're going to do with these buildings, and I would like to know that, as I'm sure some of these other people here would like to know too. You're going to find them, and then what's going to happen? I've missed some meetings, so I don't really know. That's why I'm asking.
Lori, I can answer your question. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A couple meetings ago, we had to come up about this same type of issue. And the council asked me to write up what I'm calling the nuisance ordinance, okay? The second reading of that ordinance is tonight. That is to deal with buildings exactly like what you're talking about, okay? Now, that's a separate ordinance than this, and that allows the city to do what is necessary to take possession or do whatever needs to be done with those buildings to see that the rehabilitation is corrected. And so that is actually up for the second reading this evening.
And what's gonna happen if those people don't have the money to put into their building, because it is so bad?
Well, I mean, honestly, it will either have a lien and the court will take it, or the city may take it by eminent domain to ensure that it is safe.
I mean, you're gonna end up taking variances just as an option, I mean, that's been sitting for how many years?
I'll put it this way, I can't speak to any specific property, because
Right,
it wouldn't be
right.
right in this forum, but, what you're talking about is what that ordinance is for.
Yeah, and that's the only building, the only reason I say that is because it's the only building that's been sitting empty that has been actually decked with yellow signs on it for many years, you know, and nothing's been done about it.
Well, and then, for years, there's been, and I can give you another answer too. For years, there's been a differentiation between residential properties and commercial properties as far as blight, okay? We have a redevelopment authority that has the power to act on blighted residential properties. The city is now moving towards taking action with the commercial properties. And the first step in doing that is this ordinance that I just talked to you.
And what's the first fine the person gets if they don't fail and they have 30 days, 60 days, or whatever to complete it? What do? You fine them? What was it, $50, $100?
I don't remember, Lori, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I didn't write it yesterday, and I'm not trying to be flip, I just don't honestly remember what but ultimately, the goal is either they fix it, or it gets taken by eminent domain.
And we understand that some of these, items aren't, won't be fixed in 30 days. I mean, we understand that, and we also understand the time. The goal is to see progress. The goal is to work with the code office. The goal is to see some of these things done and work to getting them rehabilitated. I mean, if there's significant issues on a property and needs a roof, it has black mold, whatever it may be, 90 days may not be, and there's a financial situation. Maybe 90 days isn't the correct timeline. The point is to work with the code office to create that proper timeline, to create safety, but also make sure that things are done correctly, and at the end of the day, the goal is not to have these properties with the city. The goal is to keep them with the property owners and the businesses in there, because quite frankly, we don't need that on our plate either. Those are big things.
So you're saying the code office has to go back, or NCIS has to go back? Who has to go back? Because who's getting paid more money?
NEIC.
Okay.
NEIC does inspections, but you come into the code office to create that plan of rehabilitation.
And who goes back to recheck it? Say you give 90 days to get it fixed. Who's going back? Is it our code office, or is it the third party?
Third party.
Okay.
There, in the first initial $200, there's the initial inspection, and then there's a re-inspection included in that. I would have to go back and see what if there's 2, 3, 4 inspections needed after that, I would have to check what it is. But there's 2 inspections included in that $200, which is the first one and then the second. If there is a second one needed, I guess.
Like Derek said, if you need work done on the property, you come in the code office and have some kind of contingency plan, what you're gonna do, how long it will take and how much, and the code office will work with you. But then, if you say I can do it in a year, and then you come back a year and you didn't do anything, you're creating your own problems.
Mr. Barnhart, could you talk a little bit about the old police station and what's the plan with that?
The buildings are not in my purview.
Jackie, to answer that for you, I'm waiting for the chief to get some ammo out yet, and they're going to finish up in the building, and I believe we're going to be putting up for sale.
So there was issues with that building. So was those issues being corrected?
The city buildings, just to show a sign of good faith, are under the same scrutiny as any other building in Sunbury, commercial property in Sunbury. We're talked about, well, we want to take the lead in it. So we're gonna do what we gotta do just to show everybody that we're on board and we're putting our money where our mouth is.
You're putting the taxpayers' money.
Well,
So the concern is my question would be that there was all this big talk before about the station, and there was gonna be a panel of people, and we were gonna get together and talk about the plan for this building. And so I think think going back with what Lori says here, so various or that building or whatever, I think what Lori's advocating for and I'm advocating for is that we don't have open parking lots on Market Street. Because once you go through all this and they're not doing what they're doing, so my concern is that how that building got to that shape, but that, so if you go in and you inspect it and there's all these things that need to be done, so who's paying for that?
Well, it's just like any other city property that would do work. It's just like for this building, DPW, any any city vehicle, all that falls under the tax revenue of the city of Sunbury. So whether it's that building, any type of city equipment, it still falls under taxpayer dollars for what we budget for in our items. Now, like I said, as Jim said, like as they're working to clean it out, there's also been other progress made on the property as well. So it's just like this, for example, this building, if this building says, I'm just using an example, if the lighting for the emergency lighting doesn't work, obviously the repairs, in a sense, yes, they do come from taxpayer dollars. Any repairs that we do come from taxpayer dollars. So long story short, yes, it would fall under taxpayer dollars, but it's no different when Councilman Ister budgets in his budget every year for repairs on this building, the OPG, the rink, it all falls under that same umbrella of bucket of money, if that answers your question.
My next question would be, because I don't know if this can be clarified right now, but, so I think the other confusion is, how does someone get exempt as opposed to not? We have this big long list of people who are exempt. Is that because they've done recent work on their property and then it was inspected, so that way and was that a commercial inspection?
Is it okay if I answer your question?
Anyone could answer
Okay,
that.
I didn't want to just jump in, you were talking.
No, it's fine.
Okay. The last meeting, I had an interaction with Mr. Wolbert, okay? After hearing from him, I went home, I then talked to council, and it was pretty clear that the exemption process was not clear, okay? It was clear as mud. Therefore, tonight, the board is going to be voting on a resolution which will set forth exactly the standards for exemptions. I created it at the behest of the board, and the board is going to vote on that resolution tonight, such that I can't hand it out now because it hasn't been voted on yet, but as soon as it's voted on, there will be a distinct and certain criteria for exemption. Does that answer?
Yeah, because I came in and I got the list of that, that just tells me all these addresses and, you know, it's like, well, how can this be done if these people aren't? So I think that's the big confusion in our community and frustration is, well, wait a minute, why are they over here and I'm over here? So.
And I think the board heard that. I think they heard that. And this is clarifying that issue.
Let me be clear upon this commercial, it isn't a punishment. Buildings have been let go, and if you leave them go much longer, they're all gonna be in disarray. So the reason for this commercial inspection is to make sure that the properties are up to code, the safety of people going in or near the property, they're safe, they feel safe. So this, like I said, this is not a punishment or anything like that. This is just purely safety, to make sure the integrity of the building is intact and that we don't have a bunch of blight problems that have been going on. This is the end all that. People want to change, now we're changing.
Could you, Mr. Martin, could you speak about the property on Park Street that looks like little shop cars? Tree growing in it? If you can't, it's legally, I understand, but.
Yes, that's actually up for auction
April
on,
29th.
yes, April 29th.
And then once somebody would purchase that, they're gonna have to have a time frame.
Are you interested in buying?
I am not, sorry.
The redevelopment authority owns that. They took
Yeah,
possession of it.
yeah,
I have no
so,
clue with that. So
I
yeah,
just
something
wasn't
like
sure where it was, because that's the only question that I asked. That's all.
I don't mean to cut anyone off here, we have another meeting here like 4 minutes. If you do have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to Councilman Barnhart and the code officer, Jeff, about your questions. I think Jeff, you wanted to
Can I
finish.
say something before you go?
I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying where you can go.
Before they leave. Hey, guys, April 8th, over at the skating rink, we're having a recycling event. It's electronics, not TVs, electronics. And The money, it comes by donation only. We have a company out of Muncie that takes the electronics, they take them, they recycle them, they wipe everything out. If you guys have stuff during your spring cleanups you want to get rid of, we'll be there from 10 to 12 on the 8th. The money, we're going to take that and use it for the 4 families that lost during the fire this past weekend there. We were going to give it to the blight program, but we're going to switch that money and give it to the families, okay? So if anybody cleaning up, bring it over, guys.
And you're all welcome to stay for the next meeting here at 6:15, but just in case you wanted to leave, that's okay too. So, council meeting at 6:15.